The way summer took me out, and when I say took me out, I mean took me out of my routine, was unacceptable. Because why was my body looking like that? And the turning point for me when I knew I had to change things up wasn't because I was a personal trainer and I show up online as a fitness coach and I have to present my body in a certain way. It was the way I felt about the way I looked. I hated how I felt bloated all the time. I hated how I wake up in the morning with my stomach sticking out. I hated how I would feel so uncomfortable at the gym with just a sports bra. I hated how I didn't feel confident in a sports bra or wearing a tight dress or wearing tight clothing or showing off my stomach in the hot 30-degree summer weather in Canada. And because of those exact feelings, because of the emotional feelings that I felt when I looked myself in the mirror or when I was editing my videos, was what I needed to make the change, was what I needed to tell myself, Tashana, you need to lock in for the next 4 weeks so that you can shed this body fat and keep building muscle. And that's exactly how I got these results. With that being said, if your goal is to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time, I'm gonna break down exactly how I did it, because let me tell you, it's nothing special. Anyone can do it and get these results. So let's get into it. Now, before I locked in for that 4-week transformation, I was hitting like 5K steps. And that was if I was going to the gym. On days that I wasn't going to the gym, I would hit like 3K steps. And I'm being so transparent with you guys because when you work from home, it is so hard to hit 8,000 steps every single day. So what I did is I would either do one 45-minute walk at the end of my day, like after dinner, which really helps with digesting your food, my God. Or I would just break that up and I would do like a 25-minute walk after breakfast, and I'll do another 25-minute walk after dinner. Now, on days that I will go to the gym, I would just hop on the treadmill after my workout and I would do my 20 to 30-minute walks, and that would typically get me to my 8K steps a day. Now, I could have gotten a walking pad 100% and just do my steps while I get some work done, but I do live in a 1-bedroom condo in Toronto. So if you know, you know, the space is really small. It's really, really tight. Like I barely had space to put my computer desk here. But if you're like me and you don't have the space or the resources or means to get a walking pad, going outside for walks, going to the gym to just get your steps in. I know that can be inconvenient for some people because not everybody has a time or accessibility to go to a gym every day to get your steps in, but everyone does have the accessibility and the opportunity to go outside of their front door and get some fresh air and some steps in. And while the weather is still nice, highly advise you to capitalize off of that, because when it's minus 20 degrees, snowy, cold outside. Now, in addition to the 8,000 steps I did every single day, I also was doing at least 60 minutes of cardio for the entire week. Now, cardio was literally on a cardio machine. So whether I was on the treadmill or I was doing some type of cardio at the gym, but I don't really do cardio other than the treadmill. So for me, it was just the treadmill. And I would make sure that my sessions on the treadmill were no less than 25 minutes. So that is what I would consider as cardio. So if I did 2 sessions of 30 minutes or I did 1 session of 45 and another session of 25 minutes, that was my 1 hour of cardio for the week. But I wouldn't just stop because, ooh, I got 60 minutes of cardio come Wednesday. No, I would still keep going because walking on the treadmill not only was a good form of cardio, but it was also an easy way for me to get my steps in. Now, there's no one cardio machine that's better than the next. Like, it really just comes down to what you prefer to do and what you actually can stick to. Because let me tell you, if you try to subscribe to what social media tells you, like do the Stairmaster because it's gonna snatch your waist and lose the most body fat, and you do not like the Stairmaster, you're not gonna stick to it. And let me be the prime example of that, because I myself fell into that whole trend and I would always try to get into it, but I just could not be consistent for more than a week. And I found that with the treadmill, that was something that I can easily be consistent with. I just had to get accustomed to doing it more and more. And what helped is watching a YouTube video, watching podcasts to like bypass the time. Even if you cover the time on the treadmill so you don't see how much time is passing by, it will go by a lot quicker than just staring at the time, doing nothing, listening to music. I feel like when you're distracting yourself, it actually passes the time a lot faster than when you're doing absolutely nothing. But really just test different forms of cardio and see what fits for you. Now let's talk about the workouts, because although I was working out 2 to 3 times a week, I was half-assing my workout. There was no actual structure plan that I was following. I would just wing it when I was at the gym. I also wasn't wasn't pushing myself as much as I possibly could. Like, I knew I could lift heavier, I knew I can do more reps, but I would just give out when I was just like, okay, yeah, this hurts, let me stop right here. And I preach to you guys all the time that you need to push yourself to actually get results, but yet I was not following what I was preaching. I'm gonna take that out. So what I started doing is I actually created a workout plan for me on my app New Body, which you guys can't download and use yourself. You have to be one of my clients with my one-on-one online coaching to use the app. And if you do want to start my online coaching program, then you can click the link down below and apply through there. And so creating that workout program on my app New Body really helped me, one, be able to track my progress and make sure that I was doing progressive overload, and two, really made sure that I had a proper workout program that I can follow. So I had structure during my workouts that align with my goals of losing body fat and building muscle, specifically around the lower body, like the legs and the glutes. Now let's talk about the most important part, which really is the reason why I lost that body fat, okay? Because I could have gotten my 8K steps in, I could have done my 60 minutes of cardio every single week, I could have weight lifted 4 times a week, pushing myself more than I ever pushed myself before. But if I had poor nutrition, if I was still eating the way that I was eating, my body would not have changed. What I did for the very first time, I think, in my life, actually, yeah, if I'm being so for real with you guys, I was tracking my calories for 2 full weeks. I bought a scale. Okay, I bought a scale. I'll leave a link down below from Amazon so that I can know how much I was eating. And this was tedious I'm not even gonna lie to you guys and be like, oh, it was cool, you know, it was great to see. No, it was so tedious. I hated every single part of it, especially for the first week. I hated how I had to measure out my milk. I had to measure out how much ketchup I was using, how much sauce, how much cheese I would put on my tacos. I hated every single part of it, how much creamer I was putting in my coffee. Like, it was actually really annoying, but it was so insightful, because let me tell you, if you are someone who swears up and down that you're in a caloric deficit, but yet you're not seeing any changes on the scale, you're not in a caloric deficit. You are definitely eating either at maintenance or beyond your maintenance level. And so when I started tracking my calories, that's when I was like, oh, I really be eating a lot. Like, I be eating more than I thought I was. Like, I'm getting 2,400 calories in a day. You're shitting me. That's not for real. Like, be so for real. And so when I cut back, and I'm not gonna give you guys the amount of calories that I cut back to, because it doesn't really matter, for the simple fact that what I was eating is not gonna necessarily be the proper caloric deficit for you, because what goes into play for that number is your height, your weight, what you're currently doing, how much you work out, how many steps. Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So there's no point of me giving you guys that number. Now, one of the biggest struggles that I experienced at the beginning of me tracking my calories was that I would go to bed hungry, okay? I told myself after 9 p.m. you're not gonna eat. So I would have my dinner, and because I was so accustomed to always having a late night snack after dinner, so around 9 to 10 p.m., I would literally start getting so hungry towards 9, 10 o'clock. I would drink water to kind of fill myself up, but I'm like, no. This cannot be okay. I need to change up how much I'm eating throughout the day. So come nighttime, I have the calories to have a snack, or my dinner can be a lot more heavier so that it can carry me out through the night. And so I had to really plan out my days. I would sit on my phone at night, because with my app, I do have like a MyFitnessPal nutrition tracker, and I would log in everything that I planned on eating for the next day, because how I eat is pretty much the same way. So I can gauge what exactly I'm gonna have, but now I just need to figure out how much grams of each thing I was gonna have. And so I would play around with numbers in my phone until things made sense to the fact that, okay, I would be able to eat everything I could eat within my caloric deficit number, meet my macros, and not be hungry at the end of the night. It took time, but once I kind of got into a system and a rhythm of things, I was like, okay, this is actually not that bad. It was just the first couple of days that were horrible, and I'm telling you, I really wanted to give up and quit, but I just reminded myself of exactly why I was doing this. Now, as I mentioned, I only tracked my calories for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, I kind of got a good idea of how much I should be eating to maintain that caloric deficit number without having to track it. And so I wasn't tracking my calories as much. Like, my breakfast was pretty much the same. If you guys know me and watch my videos, I always have oatmeal, turkey bacon, and a coffee. And so because I have the same thing every single morning, I knew what those calories already were. But my lunch and dinner, they will kind of alternate and switch up. So sometimes I'll pull out my scale to measure like my carbs and my veggies, but the protein I wouldn't really measure. And I also was going off of how my body felt. This is another game changer. Intuitively eating, not eating to clear my plate, but eating until I actually felt satisfied and full. And a little trick that I would do too is I would eat, and then once I felt like, okay, am I full? I'm not too sure, I would stand up. And when you stand up, you let everything kind of just go through your body, you really can see like, am I really full or am I still hungry? And if I felt that full feeling, I would just put the rest in a container and pack it away. I wouldn't finish it because I have to finish my plate. And I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but because I grew up in a West Indian household where my parents drilled in my head, you better eat everything off your plate, finish your food, regardless of how you felt. That was something that I carried out throughout my adulthood. And I'm noticing now that you don't need to finish your plate if you feel full, because that's when you're force feeding and you're overeating. It's better to just put it aside in a container, make it leftovers, and have it another time. Now, if I was someone who was completely new to this, I never tracked calories before, I wasn't a personal trainer or a coach who helped women with their nutrition, I would track my calories for a month. Especially if I was someone who would eat different things, I would track my calories for a month so I can really get an understanding of how much I'm eating, what it looks like, and be able to eye it. And what I would also have done too, which I do with some of my clients when they come off of their calorie tracking, is I will start off with tracking my calories 7 days a week, and then at the end of the 4 weeks I would track my calories just 4 days a week, and then I'll see how my body adjusts to that. And if I feel like, okay, I'm still, losing body fat or maintaining the physique that I want to maintain, I'm going down to tracking 2 days a week until I go down to tracking no more. And that is going to really help you transition into tracking everything all the time to not tracking at all, but feeling confident with what you're having and it being within your macros. And speaking of macros, I wasn't so fixated on my carbs and fats. I just made sure that I fall within the calories I was giving myself every single day for that caloric deficit. But one macro that I wasn't playing about, and you guys already know, was protein. And so I made sure that I got a minimum of 130 grams of protein in a day. So having a high protein breakfast of about 30 grams of protein helped tremendously. Having my protein shakes with my good protein powder, I will leave that link down below. You guys can go ahead and order using my code Tashana30 to support me and get 30% off your first order. And the two things that I was alternating between when it came to my lunch and dinner was extra lean ground beef and chicken, okay? Specifically chicken breast. Those two things are so high in protein, and you don't need a whole lot of it for you to get 40, 50 grams of protein, especially when it comes to chicken breast. Now, because I'm a girl who likes eating out, sometimes I don't want to have home cooked food. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want some Chick-fil-A. I just want some Chipotle. I just want a slice of pizza. I want some wings. I limited myself to one meal eaten out a week. And I made sure that when I did it, I try to pick not the healthiest option every time, but I try to stay away from like deep fried foods. And what I also would do is I would make sure that I gave myself enough calories to have that meal. So because with my app, I was able to track my food through the nutrition part and like the calculator part of it all, I can look up certain fast food or like Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, restaurants like that and see how much calories those meals were and get a good idea of it, because they're not obviously 100% accurate, but it is a very good estimation. And so what I would do is I would make sure that I'm having a high protein breakfast, and then I would just have my protein shake, and then I would have that meal. So that way I had over like 700-800 calories allocated to that. And of course I wasn't having like the soda that comes on the side or the sauces. I would have like half of the sauce. So those different things that I would incorporate to make sure that I wasn't going over my calories, but I always make sure that I just stuck to that one meal out every single week. And I wouldn't call it a cheat meal because I don't look at it as I was cheating my diet, but more so a meal that I was having from outside, like an outside meal or an eaten out meal. You know what I mean? And that's literally it, you guys. Like that's pretty much what I did for me to lose, what was it, like 3 to 5 pounds of body fat. Now, I don't want you guys to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, she did that in 4 weeks. I'm gonna do exactly what she did because I want to look like that. It doesn't work that way. Genetics plays a huge part in this. The fact that I've been training for over 10 years now, like there's so many factors that contribute to the results that I got. However, this doesn't mean if you follow these tips, so your 8K steps every day, getting 60 minutes of cardio every single week, weight training, pushing yourself 3-4 times a week, eating in a caloric deficit deficit, tracking your calories to make sure you're actually in a deficit, getting your protein intake in every single day, and eating out once a week. So that's actually 6 things, not 5 things. You will get the results. Now, it might take you 5 months, it might take you 10 months, it might take you a whole year. But if you follow these tips, I promise you, you will lose the body fat. You just have to be patient and not be so fixated on the end result. One thing that I did, and I recommend this for you and all my clients do it, is take progress pictures and videos and measurements and track your progress either every week or every 4 weeks. And I promise you, when you're comparing week 1 to week 12 or week 1 to week 24, when you compare your photos, you are going to start seeing the differences, and it's going to feel so rewarding, because when you're in something, unfortunately, you don't notice the growth that's happening until you get to the end. But when you have reminders of these photo comparisons that you can do every month or every other month, it's going to be so rewarding and motivating for you to keep going. Because I'm not going to lie to you, when I did my side-by-side week 1 to week 4, I was like, if I can do that in 4 weeks, imagine 4 months, because we got 4 months left of the year and I'm really gonna lock in now. So please take your progress photos. But yeah, guys, trying to keep this video short and sweet because there's not much novelty things when it comes to this. You guys probably heard this before. It's honestly just a matter of applying it. And unfortunately, a lot of people, we will watch a ton of fitness videos and informational videos and how to eat and caloric deficit and hear the same things over and over and over again, but never actually apply it to our lives. So if that's you, it is time for you to finally apply this to your life, because I promise you, you will get the results that you're looking for. You just have to start and you have to be consistent. 4 months left in the year. A lot can happen in 4 months, but you just got to start today. Okay? Bye.